Each year, 1 in 5 U.S. adults experience mental illness, and 17% of youth ages 6 to 17 experience a mental health disorder.
I joined NAMI because I have 2 sons that live with a mental illness, and I didn't want any other families to feel alone like I did.
At NAMI, the first thing we want anyone to know is you are not alone in your mental health journey.
I just really want to talk about so people know that you don't have to go through it alone.
NAMI, the National Alliance on Mental Illness, is the nation's largest grassroots mental health organization, dedicated to building better lives for the millions of Americans affected by mental illness. We started as 2 moms, gathered around a kitchen table in 1979. And today, we are an alliance of more than 600 local affiliates and 48 state organizations who work in your community to raise awareness, build advocacy, and provide support and education. NAMI envisions a world where all people affected by mental illness live healthy, fulfilling lives supported by a community that cares. Every year we are expanding, no matter race, religion, age, or sexual identity. We are people with lived experience, families and loved ones, survivors and advocates, and together, we will fight the stigma surrounding mental health and create a better world for the sake of all of us. We have resources for you and can't wait to become an extension of your family. We are here for a healthier world. We are here for better mental health. We are here for each other. Join us.
Season's greetings, everyone. John Pulaski with NAMI Billings. And as you've seen from the introduction that we've had, there is the mental illness challenge that we have. And this time of the year, it seems like everybody is supposed to be happy, but a lot of us, myself included at times, are not. So we're going to take a look at some of the reasons that that can happen and some of the things that are available to make this season happier for a more wider audience, I guess I would say. Tony Gaffke is with us today. Tony is a local realtor in Billings, and I want to say thank you for being here. He is also a minister, and let's start by having you give a little bit of your background. You're a Montana boy.
Yeah, born and raised here in Montana, and from the Gallatin Valley, all those years ago, and have lived here in Billings with my wife and our 3 adult kids now for almost 30 years, but spent 16 years in the ministry full time, and a number of years in the car business, and then have become a realtor in the last 6-7 years. And all those experiences combined together help us, of course, serve our clients better. But yeah, did spend a number of years in the ministry as well. So yeah.
Your connection with NAMI, you're on the board of directors. Let's talk about what drew you to them and what is kind of your mission with them.
Sure, yep. Well, I would say that the genesis of all of it, of joining NAMI, was out of my loss, my personal loss. My sister Kathy was a huge part of my life growing up. I'm the youngest of 4 kids, my brother, and then my sister Kathy, and my sister Val, and myself. And Kathy was a big part of my life, and really had a big impact on my life. In more ways than one, literally saved my life in a drowning accident, and then years later in my relationship with the Lord, she was really impactful in that. I guess out of that, out of her loss, I got to go back a little bit. September 30th of 2021, she chose to take her life, and really devastating and impacting. She struggled for years and years with some physical illness that intertwined and created mental illness. And so my journey was the way she impacted my life all those years before. It was an interaction where for years we've been talking, and I was able to reciprocate and minister to her, but it's out of deep loss that I decided to do something. I needed to express my love for her, and I miss her terribly, and so out of that I chose to do something. I needed to express my love and and honor her life, and so NAMI is that expression, and joined the board probably about 6 months ago now, and really it's, again, out of my deep loss, I need to turn that momentum around and do something impactful in honor of her, but also expressing, some of my grief and understanding some of the dynamics that I'm going through.
Oh, that's great. This time of the year, daylight is short, and there's a physical phenomenon called SAD, seasonal affective disorder. And it's because we don't get enough sunlight is what the medical thing is.
Sure.
And that creates a level of depression that I think a lot of folks maybe don't realize or know what it's all about. But then that can be piled on top of other things, family stress, job stress, just life stress in general, and of course now, most recently, the pandemic that we've had to put up with. Luckily, it looks like we're finally at the top of the hill, getting through that. But some of the things that you have personally encountered along the way in that through your ministry, but also through your personal relationships with people.
Yeah, it's interesting. The number of years that I was a pastor, talked with, counseled with a number of people that had gone through loss. Obviously, they had lost a family member through a natural death or through suicide or just medical conditions. And I counseled quite a few people at times. And now I find these years later that I'm on that side of loss and that side of grief and with someone really very close and near and dear to me. And I find that, some of the things I helped them with, I'm having to counsel myself with again. And, I guess what has been impactful for me is that this time of year, of course, as you brought to light, is difficult. And there's certain memories, there's certain seasons, there's certain things that just catch me off guard about my sister Kathy that surprise me and they bother me, or they again catch me off guard in a way that I didn't anticipate. And I realized that some of the things I helped people with, I've got to take as my own medicine again. And we talked a little bit earlier, but there's just certain things that come up that catch you off guard. And I realized this time of year is difficult because I can't call her, I can't talk with her, I can't try to encourage her. Of course, she's gone, and that's difficult for me. So I find that I have to give myself a little counsel. There's times when this past fall, of course, she passed away on September 30th of 2021. That day was pretty impactful, because it was a mile marker. It was 1 year. I have to purposely go and remember the good times. And I guess that's maybe the takeaway that I have today. One of them is that there's times when I find myself turning inward and getting mildly depressed about her life and the lack of being able to visit with her or be around her or know that she's with us. I have to make sure that spiral doesn't keep going inward. I need to reverse that momentum. And for me, reversing that momentum is thinking about the good things that we experienced. She was a huge part of my life, impacted my life deeply as a young man, and even as a preteen. She saved my life in a drowning accident, which was incredible to me. I've always had a deep connection with her. But I find that I have to purposely think of the good times when those dark thoughts come about,
Sure.
And again, take a little bit of my own counsel that on those mile markers in that first year or during this time of year in the holidays when we're remembering loved ones or those that have passed away, I have to purposely remember the good things, the good character about them, the good times, the things that we really shared and embraced, and that helps me reverse that momentum from spiraling inward to reversing that momentum to going outward and then ultimately thinking of others and helping others.
Doing things like that. Well, that's what NAMI is all about. And we're trying again through this program and other things that we do to get the word out that there is help out there. The big thing that we see is that people don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
It's one of those secret things that
Sure.
the crazy aunt in the attic.
Yeah.
But now we have more access to help. The law enforcement, fire department, the hospitals, churches. I mean, just about every institution that's out there has some form of counseling that they
Yeah.
can help people with this kind of a situation. And of course, again, coming back to this time of the year, we all get kind of melancholy because a lot of times, Christmas, you think you got to get gifts for everybody, and then if economically that's not possible,
Sure.
you start trying to think of how you can shortcut here and shortcut there, and that can just, you talk about that inward spiral
Sure.
of being able to cope with that. What would be some of the coping skills that you would recommend for folks?
It's interesting. Being a pastor again and having all these experiences, and then being in real estate now and helping our clients, it's been an interesting dynamic. I've had to put into practice what I know is real and what is practical and what can help. So in practice, the last couple of weeks I've found myself getting mildly kind of inward, and I realize that's a sign. A fun thing that my wife and I did just last Saturday, we had prepared about 20, 25 little gifts for our clients that we've helped in the last year and the last 2 years. We purposely went through our list, identified some families and some people that we've helped in the buying or selling process with, and we went out and we were like spreading Christmas cheer. We went out to their houses and gave them a gift, said hello, and just said thank you for your business. We're blessed because of you, and we're just really grateful. That was something I really needed to do. Not that it's selfish, but I needed to do that for me. I needed to have an outward expression. And that really helped me reverse that blue time or the feeling of, I'll just get through the end of the year and I'll address things next year. I got such a huge takeaway from being a blessing to other people. And we got purposeful in that. Of course, it's something we do most every year for our clients. We'll go back through and contact them during Thanksgiving or Christmas. But that act of going out and just doing something for others, that just really helped me tremendously. And it sounds really simple, but it's really impactful. When that inertia, that momentum of spiraling inward, there's times when I think us as humans, when we're getting into that, we need to reverse that. And for me, sometimes it's just texting my kids, my adult kids, and saying, I love you, I'm blessed to be your dad, and I need to look outward, and I need to stop that momentum from it spiraling. I need to do something practical, and sometimes it's just ministering or helping other people. It's pretty simple, but it's hard to do when you're in the middle of it. Mm-hmm. And so that's what we did. So in practice, that's what my wife and I did just here recently, and I realized that really helped me this time of year. I feel energized that I was able to go out and see our clients and do something for them. That helped reverse that spiral for me personally.
You used an example of how you got in touch with NAMI was through a person. Mm-hmm. Tell us that story again, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I had, of course, been so impacted by the loss of my sister. I started to research a little bit about local resources in Billings, and of course came across NAMI. That was last fall. Really couldn't express or do anything because that grieving process was still continuing. I was able to do the funeral for my sister. And my family, of course, knows I was a pastor for all those years. It was a really unique situation to do that funeral, that memorial service. We did it last Memorial Day of 2022. Mm-hmm. It was a really unique experience to do that. And I think until that time, I wasn't ready to do anything locally or express my grief or reach out. So after that funeral, after that experience, I reached out to Alicia Willard at NAMI, and of course I had known her for a few years before, but wasn't really consciously aware that she was part of NAMI, but reached out to her, and talk to her about some of my loss and maybe ways that I could help locally, I needed to express myself. I need to express the life of my sister Kathy and honor her life. I needed to do that. Well, part of that was reaching out to NAMI, see what they had to offer, and then I realized that NAMI's like the best kept secret in Billings, and I just talked more to Alicia, and there's an opportunity there to be a part of the board, and that was my place to step in there and do something that would honor her life, also help me continue my process of grieving or recovery, if you will, or working through the loss of her life. But being part of a board is important to me, and so I reached out to Alicia and we talked, and here I am. You know, it's been about 6 months, I believe, since I've been on the board. Started.
Wow. It's an amazing story, but
Yeah.
it's a good one because then we can share it with other people and, again, get rid of that stigma of mental illness.
Yeah.
People are so skittish in talking about it, whether it's yourself or a friend, a relative, a spouse.
Sure.
And I think a lot of times you don't want to broach that issue with somebody that's that close to you without knowing anything really about it. What are some of the things that NAMI can do to help offset that?
You know what is personal to me, I'll speak to it on that side of things. I think that those that are left behind after loss, after someone has taken their life, us as family members, friends, whatever it may be, we're the ones left with questions. We're the ones left with a hole, in our hearts about it. And one of the unique things with NAMI is they offer that support for family members. If a loved one of yours is struggling with mental illness, or you have suffered loss because of their illness, there's a resource for you. And that's just one of many things that NAMI offers. But I find that really, really amazing and vital, obviously, to us that are left behind, if you will, and struggle with the questions and the why and why nots, all those things. It's a resource for you to be able to go to. If you're struggling with mental illness yourself, there's resources there. If you're coming out of and journeying through mental illness, those resources. But the thing that intrigued me, again, personally, was that there's resources available for us to get more educated about mental illness if a family member or a coworker or a spouse is struggling with it, or again, you're dealing with loss yourself. There's a resource for you, so you're not alone. You're not by yourself.
Great. The medical community is aware of all of the problems that we have with this and can make referrals or take people in. Have you worked with any of that kind of a situation with NAMI as far as referrals are concerned?
Not me personally. I know that being fairly new to the board, listening to the other board members, and some of what they have talked about, NAMI's an excellent resource for the medical community, sheriff, police, and things of that nature. I guess it intrigued me that I wasn't aware of it, and maybe I can speak to that a little bit, but I was intrigued that NAMI wasn't more prevalent or had a higher profile. And I guess being a newer board member, I'm like, well, then let's do something. Let's and not that they haven't been, but again, we don't want it to be the best kept secret. We want to promote and expand the footprint of NAMI. And as a new board member, that's kind of my heart and what I see we can do. But I don't have a direct story to address what you're asking, but I see how there is a tremendous resources available for the medical community and sheriff and police.
Well, I'm going to say yes, there is, because of you being a realtor, talking about the expansion potential for NAMI here in Billings. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, well, it's been really unique. It's providential to come on in the time frame that we did, and we're helping them in the process of finding a new place, a new space, and again, as a new board member, it's been exciting for me to kind of look from maybe a fresh or an outward perspective and see the need. They're in the downtown location. We're trying to move. Hopefully, we'll get a response this week or next on a new space that's going to renovate, and it will expand the footprint, the physical footprint of NAMI, give them more exposure out to the West End, kind of the heart of Billings to the West End. And so it's really kind of a privilege to come in as a realtor and come on the board and then be able to, in a really practical way, help NAMI get their fame spread far and wide, you know. Yeah. And so it's been a need that I saw, and I know the other board members and Patty's the president, you know, they need to expand out of that space they're in, and I think it'll do only good to again get to a bigger space and help us promote NAMI in a greater way year after year. So,
because it's a statewide organization, but Billings is, you know, because of the coverage of this Community 7 television program that we have, is to just get the word out that there is a resource out there that people can call upon, no charge, right? And it's amazing what you can have just by conversation. I've enjoyed getting to know you a little bit more in the last few conversations that we've had to find out, you know, where you come from, what kind of family situations you're in, the sadness in loss. I shared some sadness that we've had in our family. 1991, a week before Christmas, my father fell off a ladder, and in 12 hours he went from being a vital part of our family to just being gone. And widowed my mother, and I still, from time to time, those moments, and let's talk a bit about some of those moments that you'll be walking down the street, driving a car, you hear a song, you see something, and it triggers that emotion to bring that back. How do you deal with that?
You know, sometimes we get overwhelmed by that, obviously. And what I found experientially is that moment can cause a couple of things. It can cause me to want to deny that moment. It can cause me to kind of go to a dark place about maybe some of the regret or some of the bad experiences. But what I counseled people to do and what I counsel myself to do is to turn that around and embrace that moment. You have to embrace it, in my opinion. You have to embrace the catalyst that's there and embrace the good memory. Force yourself to think about the good times that you had, or start to identify why you're having that moment. For me, sometimes smells are a unique thing. When I buy a bakery or buy a coffee shop, things of that nature, sometimes that brings back memories of my childhood or certain people and events. And the point I think we were talking about is that there's moments you're driving down the road or just something in your day that reminds you of that loved one. I challenge you, or I would encourage anybody to embrace that moment and really turn it around to a moment of thinking of a good memory, forcing yourself to embrace some of the loss in that moment, but celebrate their life, celebrate the good that comes from that. And that's been the best thing for me. That's practical. I'm a pretty practical guy, so that's my best ability right there, is to embrace it and get the most out of it in that moment.
That's great. Well, that's one of the things that we talked about too, is that in future programs that we could have, you can bring more experiences as you grow your life with NAMI, and to share those with people, because I think sharing sometimes, because of what's happened recently, because of the pandemic, everybody kind of being locked down. Now we're starting to poke our heads up again to see what's going on out there. And you just have to kind of breathe in that new feeling of, hey, let's talk. Let's, you know, share some things.
Yeah, I think it was interesting. Again, I think we all suffer in some way with some sort of maybe mild depression, or we have blue moments of our lives. We're all human and susceptible to that. But what again was really refreshing for me was again being able to go out in the community last Saturday with my wife and visit people. I feel like I poked my head up out of here a little bit, you know, and seeing those families again that we helped, realizing the impact that we had on people's lives, that really helped me to realize I make a difference in people's lives. And again, there's times I still struggle. Sometimes I think I don't know how impactful my life is. I don't know if I'm doing very good. And I think that's just part of this time of year maybe, and part of a little bit of depression that we all face in some form. But again, when we go outward, when we give, I think we gain a new perspective. And it's part of poking your head up out of there and realizing, wow, there's a bigger dynamic. There's a lot of life yet to live or experience. And that's helped me.
The old caroling thing of getting a group of people walking around the countryside or the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Well, you don't have to be able to sing to do what you and your wife have done, of
Yeah.
just going out and saying, hi, how you
Yeah.
doing, a little thought, gift, whatever.
Sure.
And boy, does it make you feel good, right?
Yeah, it helped me, you know. It helped me look outward and not inward when I could have really done that, you know, and out of my loss, it would be understandable. But yeah, it was really a shot in the arm and really good for my soul. Spreading Christmas cheer is what one lady said, and I thought, I guess that's a good way to look at it. We are spreading cheer, you know. So
Overall, not just for the season, but
yeah,
life in general.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Tony, I want to thank you for being with us today,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
look forward to future visits. And again, folks, if there is some way that maybe you can help NAMI or NAMI can help you, please be in touch. We have a website, phone numbers are available, and all of those kinds of things to spread the word about the National Alliance on Mental Illness. So thank you very much for being with us today. And again, thank you, Tony.
you, John.
Enjoyed having you
Yeah,
here.
same here.
Happy holidays, everybody.